Sean, I have one other
Word.
thing to say. God
Word.
damn, this water is so.
It's not working. The water broke.
Okay. Yeah, my water broke. Yeah. Um. No, it's just my voice sounds kind of like scratchy today. I guess I like haven't been talking this much recently.
You do sound a little.
Oh yeah.
Where
So
are the other drugs going?
next Saturday is
Word.
the 1 year anniversary of when we first dropped the first episode of Starbound.
Word.
Yeah.
That's also when I want to start shooting. Word. And I have a birthday party.
Okay,
Word.
okay. How about we try and record on Friday and then try to get it out?
Up on it on the actual anniversary day. I agree.
Because we probably recorded the first one like a day in advance too. So it probably would be more accurate to record on Friday and drop on Saturday anyway.
Yeah, I'm down to do that. Record Friday, drop Saturday. We can do that.
Okay, yeah. And so that means I'll probably be grinding next Friday to get that all out in one day. But hopefully this one goes well so we don't have to push it back again.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't like. I want to get an episode. We were almost like on a tight schedule up until that, and now we're back on like none of our weeks have been like, you know
I
what I mean?
know. I guess we let's just I guess we could already have started the episode. I feel like that was a fun tidbit.
We're already. Oh shit, we're already
Yeah,
in.
we're already live. We're
Oh,
already live.
we're already in. We're live. Welcome back to another episode of the Starbound podcast. I am your
Yes.
host, King Kajo. I'm also with.
Cough Drippy right here. As always, or bi-weekly, unfortunately. We tried to get an episode in last
Bi-weekly
week, as
Drippy.
you heard, but we had some great technical difficulties. It was very frustrating.
This is a very new form of doing the podcast. This is actually the newest and most strangest form of doing the podcast. So
Yeah.
it has had the most technical difficulties and just trying to make it work. That being said, we're here putting the work in right now. So,
I feel like it's the most sort of like nuanced way of doing it, if you will, because usually, we either have like the live broadcasts or the pre-recorded videos, whether it be just the microphone in the early days, those were pre-recorded, and also the Zoom ones were like pre-recorded. Technically we pre-record these lives and then drop them, but like the other types have to go through Premiere, like the editing process, and these are a mix of both because we record them live. Did I already talk about this? I think so. But we record them live and then we edit them together since we're in like two locations at once.
No, that's what I mean. The other form of lives that we do don't require too much of that editing process. It just kind of goes up. But
Yeah.
this requires every aspect of what we've learned since the very first episode of like trying to put this up, basically.
Yeah.
There's editing involved, there's lives involved, there's literally different internets, different spaces. We're in different coastlines. Like it's just everything we've ever done, just put in one thing.
Well, I feel like I've learned a lot over the past 44 weeks of doing Starbound. It's been interesting. But technically, like I feel like we've really improved, don't you think?
I feel like I could run a podcast show off rip, just off of a lot of the work that we already put in. Like I kind of know just off of our mistakes and also of our achievements, like how it works.
Oh yeah, and like when I was checking the date of the first episode, like it was next. I think it was September 16th when we dropped the first episode. I heard the audio of us talking, and I was like, this is like so like I feel like the audio sounds better these days, which is interesting because we're using the same microphones. But I think we just have like a little bit better grasp of like the type of environment that we need and all that type of stuff.
No, I think we have better vocal control. A. B. I mean, something about having separate microphones I think is better for us in the way that we do things. So the fact that I have my microphone here, you have yours over there, we have a little bit more control there. I don't know, like we're more aware of how it works, how it sounds in the end product. So it's good.
Well, hopefully you've noticed it improve over the weeks, and So
yeah, I hope if anything, while you watch this podcast, that you're always getting a better and better experience every episode. So
that's the goal. Sometimes it's up and down, back and forth, but I'm really happy with how the last episode that we got out ended up. I feel like that was a success.
That was pretty solid. We did record an episode in between it, but once again, we had technical issues, so we could not put. That's another lost episode right there.
It's another long lost episode. Unfortunately, you'll never know what we said, and we said some crazy things. We said
some juicy things, man.
In fact, Sean said something that
you're trying to get me canceled right now.
He should never repeat again. No,
I confirmed the existence of the Illuminati, and so we can't release the episode because of that.
That's why the government shut that episode down and gave us we both got letters in the mail saying you can't drop this episode. It's way too.
Yeah, I even got a 5-minute warning. They were like, "Look, yo, cut that out. All right, don't talk about no Illuminati on there." So exactly, it is what it is. The powers that be.
So, how's your week been, Sean?
I have so much that has happened in the little week that I've had. On just a minor issue, I was trying to clean my AirPods because the wax buildup happens, and
it'd be like
in cleaning it, one of my AirPods got quieter than the other. And I was just so upset because now it's like the sound was leaning towards the right instead of being surround sound how it normally is. Yeah. And because I was so frustrated at that, I just didn't use my AirPods really for the entire week. I did eventually get it figured out. I fixed it, but I didn't realize that I don't know. I woke up to a world without my AirPods or before AirPods when you just have to walk around and listen to the sound around you. Life kind of has its own music, and I think I took it for granted.
Dude, I know. Sense? Yes, but wait, hold on. Before we get into that, I do want to get back to that. But my question is, how did you fix that? Because I noticed a while ago that my right AirPod was way louder than my left AirPod. And so I was just like, dang, I feel like the left is sort of the complementary one and the right is the main one. I didn't think that it was adjustable. So I thought it was just the quieter vocals were here. And I'm like, what if your right ear got blown off in Vietnam? What are you supposed to do? Is your left ear
No, that's the thing. So I looked up for solutions, and there was a mix of answers. Some people were saying, bro, maybe your left ear is just fucked up. And so you literally cannot receive, I think every frequency of sound has a little hair designated to it in your ear. And so if some of these hairs get damaged or something because of sound or war or whatever the reason is, you'll never be able to hear that frequency again.
So you're saying that it's our ears, it's not fixable?
No, I'm saying that for some people, if you watch the movie, is it Sound of Power or something? There was this movie about this drummer that was losing his hearing, and
wait, no, I don't know. I was gonna say Whiplash, but I'm like, nah, that's
Let me look it up because it's really worth the conversation here.
Yeah, man. If drummers don't wear the little, what are those things called? The earplugs, that can seriously mess with your ears.
I remember being in drumline, we made fun of the people that had earplugs, and our our teacher at the time was like, yeah, stop bullying these people for it. They're actually protecting their ears. But we were all rock stars at the time. We were like, nah, screw that. We're not wearing that shit.
I know.
Hit us. We want our eardrums to get fucked. You know what I mean? It was.
And then you start paying the price. You're dancing with the devil, and then
exactly like the movie. So the movie's called Sound of Metal. It is starring. Let me see. Does it say who's starring in it? Riz Ahmed. Yes, that's it. It's starring Riz Ahmed.
The reason I laughed is just because I was just laughing because Riz, Like,
yeah, I know. He's the king of Riz. He's the true king of Riz.
Is that like his nickname? Or I mean, that's a cool name though. I like it, Riz.
Nah, but his name is Riz Ahmed. I've seen him in a couple of different things. He's even in Rogue One, which was really good.
Oh yeah.
He plays the pilot, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so in the movie, he's this drummer who completely loses the sound in his ears. And it's kind of like it's happening over time. And you kind of see him because he's a drummer, right? So music and sound is everything to him.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, he's really struggling with just accepting the fact that he'll never be able to really hear again.
Yeah.
So, and in that movie, basically, because he was listening to loud noises he's a drummer, right? He's listening to loud noises all the time. The loud noises were damaging these little hairs in his ears. And so over time, he wasn't able to pick up on a lot of different sounds.
Interesting. Okay, but wait, hold on. Two things. Didn't that happen to Beethoven as well?
I thought Beethoven was like...
I think he went blind, actually. Wait. I can't remember if he went deaf.
I was about to say that. I'm pretty sure Beethoven went deaf.
Yeah, I think he did go.
He didn't start out deaf, but he became deaf, and he still made goat music.
Yeah, because he just like had enough of like the skill, which is pretty wild. Like, imagine. I guess he could feel like the vibrations, and he knew enough about music that he could like remember the sounds. But that's pretty wild.
That's what I'm saying. He could imagine. There's that quote from Bane. You'll just have to imagine the fire. Like he could imagine the sounds and be like, yeah, some of the best shit ever written.
Yeah.
He just knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But going back to your point about nature sounds, like I agree. Cause like sometimes, especially when I was in like LA and I'd have some days just to like roam around, like not talk to anyone, just like, go about my day. I would be listening to music. Like I would say there were definitely some days where I listened to music 24/7. Like I'm like actually like 24/7.
I believe you, bro. I was there.
And so
and don't be you be talking to me with it in your ear.
Like, yeah, I had like the music on low. I learned to like multitask so that I would like be listening to conversations like while I was like talking to someone. Now it's more difficult because I don't do that as much because I don't think it's like the best idea to do that 24/7. But it was just,
That's also impressive because for me, I've been recently struggling with the fact that I'm just like really tired of music. Like I don't want to listen to hip hop as much because I feel like I've heard it all. I'm starting to kind of get out of listening to film scores because I feel like I need to watch the movie in order to understand why it feels so powerful. So I feel like I'm running out of music to listen to.
Dude, I totally understand. Like sometimes I do go in this sort of like phase, right? Or wave. Like at the climax, I guess I'm listening to music 24/7. And then there is also a low point where I listen to it like not at all. Like I take breaks and I like don't listen. But that being said, during those breaks, like recently I've been listening recently, but I've also made sure to take a lot of breaks to like listen to nature and stuff like that. And those breaks are really relaxing. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, no music. And I'll just like listen to, crickets or the wind. And
that's what I'm saying. Like I'll be walking to class and I'll hear like the car kind of like ramp up crescendo as it comes to you and then decrescendo as it drives away. I can hear the little pattering of the squirrels as they're like roaming around campus. I can hear even like the tree leaves as the wind blows by. Like you're just listening to everything. You're like, wait, this is music.
I would argue that like that happens for sound, like music with your AirPods, but it also happens, on your phone. Like a lot of the time you'll be like going around, or you could go into a restaurant, walk in and just see like everybody on their phone. It's nice sometimes to, look up and like observe nature or like go on a walk and like leave your phone at home or something like that. Like every once in a while, I know it's like you got to use them in daily society to get by. Like you got to send emails, you got to do that. You got to listen to your music, but it is nice every once in a while to disconnect like fully from like technology. Just like take a day and just like put your phone away, especially if it's like a weekend or something where you got free time, put your AirPods, your music away and just be like living in like, 1700, get your candles out, Be like no electricity.
1700.
Or maybe that day your power went out. I feel like when I grew up, like whenever the power went out, we would like play board games and it'd be in the dark, maybe have like a candle on. And those were some of my favorite times.
I don't know why, but for me, whenever the power went out, it felt like the fucking dark ages. Like we just went back to like, oh, we must do things. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It just felt like we were just doing such basic, simple things just to either keep ourselves entertained or to get stuff working. We have like flashlights to move around, and it's like, wait, why do we change up the whole schedule the moment the power goes out?
I know. I think it's almost like refreshing because, like, for some reason, when it would like storm and they'd be like, "Yeah, power out," that was like that was one of the few times where you could like get everybody in one room to be like, the light's not going to be in the bedroom, so you keep like the limited light you have in like the main room. Play like Clue or something like that. Clue, Sorry, all those classic games.
Yeah, it's like you could have the power, have everyone in a room, and then everyone would be doing nothing. Nothing. The moment the power turns off, all right, let's do something.
Yeah, it'd be like that. It'd be like that. I don't know why.
What? Yeah. No, it's a vibe. I feel like power outage is an aesthetic. You know what I mean? It's like let's be all homey and like medieval together.
Yeah, exactly. But you could do that without the power going out. You could just turn the lights off. Yesterday there was a lightning storm in Maryland.
Oh my! What? Isn't it the springtime or this is fall now? But
no, we're turning into fall. But like last week we've had some of the hottest days apparently in like Maryland history. But honestly, it kind of.
My mom told me there was a heat wave.
It kind of felt just like LA because when I went back to like move all my stuff back, it was so hot in LA. Like especially as I was like carrying all the boxes and all that stuff to USPS. Like I was like, this is awful. So like when this heat wave came, I was like, it just feels like LA like right now. Like it's weird. It was like walking around. It was like you didn't have to wear, if you even like a regular shirt was like too hot, which is kind of like how it was in LA when I went back because I think it was also a heat wave then. Like that's when you were in Erie / Maryland.
Yeah, I dipped on that heat wave. I want none of that smoke.
Yeah, I didn't realize how like awful LA's summers would be as far as weather goes.
They were hot. And it's funny because I feel like in our experience, because our home doesn't really have like ventilation or air conditioning or even at the time heating.
Yeah,
we had no control over the temperature of our home.
We got the AC.
It felt like,
There's the AC.
Oh, I guess we did have the AC. Never mind. We had but it wasn't like ventilized AC. It wasn't AC that would run through the whole apartment. It was just room to room. And then depending on the AC in that room, it wouldn't be that crisp. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what it felt like for us was like we came here, and then it was extremely hot for like 2 to 3 weeks. And then the moment those 2 to 3 weeks were over, it was cold for 4 to 5 months.
Oh yeah.
That's what I feel like it felt like for us when we moved in a year ago.
Oh yeah. Because we moved in.
It was like hot and then cold, and then now it's kind of back in that hot again.
I want to say we moved in like August 15th or something like that. So we just caught the beginning of fall, I guess. But hold on, I got to go blow my nose. So Sean Only Podcast.
Yes. Finally, we're back, baby. We're back. Welcome to the Sean Only Podcast. I am your host, Sean Mother Flippin' Cudjo. You know what I mean? We're out in LA enjoying the vibes here today. Where do we even start with topics? First of all, it's been a pretty long-ish week. I had to make some decisions. I'll share this with the podcast because I think it'll be interesting. So I had to drop a class and add another class, and I don't know why I felt such an emotional like turmoil doing it, because part of me was like, I could stick this class is basically like I thought it was gonna be some kind of interesting thing about the Middle East and the history about the place. It was just a book reading club where all right, you go home, you read 2 to 3 chapters. It's going to be like 90 pages. And then you pull up to class 2 days after and you just talk about what you read. And then you leave, read more chapters, come back, talk about what you read. Like, it was just a book club. And I am not the biggest fan of book club style classes. I know not everyone is about this, but I'm more of like the lecture style classes. I feel like lectures give me a little bit of direction. I can focus. I can do both the homework, but also receive the information that the professor is putting down, so I can kind of enjoy the information. Book club is like, if I wanted to join a book club, I join a freaking book club. So
okay. I had to come back because that's enough blasphemy about book club. Don't let Sean stop you from reading books or going to
shit
book
about
club.
books.
Look at this.
I'm not saying that it's trash. I'm just saying it's. I'm saying it's trash.
That all books should be banned from the library, just like they did in that.
Look.
Actually, wait.
That's weird.
Did you hear about that though?
That's some Nazi type shit. Oh, in Florida?
So, yeah, you heard of? No, in Texas.
Oh, I have heard about. I thought it was Florida that was banning certain books from the curriculum or something like that. But maybe it's Texas. Texas makes sense to me. They're usually the problematic one.
It might be both, or it might be. I think this one was Texas. I think I saw it on the news, and basically, like they were removing, like they were taking the books out of libraries because I don't even know why. Like they were basically removing libraries from the schools, and these kids like. We're like, bruh, like I'm trying to learn how to read. And like the parents were like, what? Like you're taking libraries away? It's insane, bro.
I'm not going to lie. I don't want to hate on Texas because I have not only friends and family in Texas, but I think Texas can occasionally be cool.
I'm not speaking for Texas on a whole.
Texas is the most problematic state in all of America, bro. Like literally, did you know this? I might have already said this on the podcast, but way back when integration was a problem, the federal government made a list of all the states that were the biggest problems and they were so problematic that they decided that they cannot make their own laws for themselves and that for a certain amount of time, like the federal government is going to decide all of their laws. The number one state on that list was fucking Texas. Texas, I don't know what's going on in Texas.
Didn't they even try
But they are the most problematic.
Didn't they try to leave the country too? Isn't that like a...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This state, I don't know what it is about the culture here, but Texas is on its own wave every time. So I'm not surprised it would be Texas that would be like, you know what? Schools don't need books.
I know.
Like, y'all don't need that.
I unfortunately wasn't very surprised. But that being said, I've only been to Texas one time. And it was when we drove through Texas. We drove through Amarillo on the way.
Amarillo.
Am I talking about the right? Yeah, Amarillo. I think that's Texas.
Don't forget about
it was like
Guru.
The top. It was like, yeah, I was gonna say. So originally, Sean and I had this sort of like midway point that we were gonna stop at, and it was like the random midpoint between two cities that we stopped at, and it was Groom, Texas. And I'd never heard of it before, but I'm like, all right, Sean, we'll get a hotel in Groom. And you want to take it? Well, first of all, let me say how when we were driving through Amarillo, it was just like Terminator, like Skynet, like red blinking lights for miles in the dark. And we were going to stop in Texas, but we ended up not stopping, partially because of the Terminator red blinking lights that literally was just all through that top part of Texas and ended once we got in New Mexico.
Yeah, we were driving through northern Texas, and I feel like we didn't really know what to expect because we've never been in this part of, we never really driven through the middle of America like this before. So we were still experiencing everything for the first time. And we decided that driving for like, I think it was 20 hours or something. It was like a crazy amount of hours from one city to the next was too much. So we put like a random center point to kind of stop at, and it was Groom. And we're like, all right, cool. It's a little small town in Texas. We're only staying there for a night. We'll wake up in the morning, back on the road. You know what I mean? We're not there to like sightsee or none of that.
How bad can it be?
Exactly. How bad could it be? So we're driving towards Groom. It's completely pitch black, like you were saying. Red lights blinking at us because I think in this part of town, there's a lot of windmills, and windmills look totally safe during the daytime, but at night, all you can see is these red dots on top of the windmill, and it's blinking at you. You can't even see the windmill. You just see the red dot just like at you. And the thing about wind power, it takes more than just one windmill to power a city. It takes thousands. So we're driving for miles, and there's thousands of these red blinking lights just blinking at us. We thought aliens were coming, bro. It was not a vibe. All right. Anyway, we're finally approaching Groom. It's like, all right, cool. We'll be able to rest up. We're kind of getting a little bit excited. But then we pass by, like, first of all, I think there was a sign that said it was like a population of 400 or something like that, or 100 people.
Yeah, it was like a really small
ass town.
Which kind of, not saying anything. I'm just saying sometimes like super small towns give that sort of like serial killer vibe.
Yeah, this is where people go to disappear because there's no way to find you, bro. There's only 400 people here.
What if it's low key like the most wholesome town like of all time, and we're just like roasting it? You know, I guess it's possible.
You know, that's the thing. I get like this really 50-50 vibe of like small towns are either like the nicest people because they're not part of that whole city grind capitalist type of thing. They're just living like nice, simple lives, or they're a really small town and they're ignorant, so they're just hateful. You know what I mean? I don't want none of that smoke. So population was small, already a red flag. Here's the real big red flag. We're driving and a giant, and I'm saying one of the biggest crosses I've ever, it's like the shit from Peru or wherever that giant cross is on the mountain. There's this giant white cross just on the side of the road, bro. And it was like, all right. let's just keep it going, man. Let's keep it going. That was the last straw for us. We already were having a really creepy time with the red lights, and then we're already feeling iffy about, all right, this is a small town in Texas. All right. Texas is very, you know what I mean? They're very chill about that open carry type shit. So this is a small town, open carry, most likely. All right. And on top of that, a giant white cross. And the only other times I remember seeing a giant white cross is, you know, in films, the Klan tend to burn a giant white cross as a message. And so I was like, you know what? This is not it. Let's keep going.
In short,
let's keep driving.
We passed Groom. We stopped at one gas station in Amarillo. That's where you got your Texas cowboy hat. Because Sean insisted on getting a cowboy hat from Texas.
You got to get it from the mainland. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of, you know, cowboy hats are very popular in most southern states. But I understand why you wanted it from the Texas, you know, the it's like centralist, Texas, southernist state. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. My accent changed actually for a good bit there. My accent was stuck on southern default, and it couldn't change.
Dude. I don't remember which state this was. I want to actually say it was like Tennessee, but we were like leaving, and we stopped at this like we went to this drive-through, and like you accidentally, like, because we were mimicking like southern accents while we did it, like you were like, you just like had it still, and you ordered, you're like, can I get a cheeseburger with, and I'm like,
I couldn't help it, bro, because like it's really so easy. I don't know, like I think when we have our more city-ish coastal slang, it's like, I don't know, it's what we're used to. But as soon as you slide into the tendencies that southern accent have, it's just so fun. You're just rolling everything off of the tongue. You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah. I liked Tucumcari.
My voice was stuck though.
I liked that was where when we went, so we kind of ended up just doing one ride through Texas with the one stop, and then we stayed.
We did not stop in Texas, man.
We stayed in the first sort of wholesome looking town in New Mexico, Tucumcari, and that's apparently one of the ones that Cars is based off of. I've probably said this a million times because I'm a big Cars fan. Cars 1 and 3, but like
Cars
2, on Cars 2, you know? But I mean, if you're a Cars 2 fan, that's okay. I'm not trying to give you any heat for being a Cars 2 fan.
I'm gonna give you the smoke. It's not okay. It's trash. You should feel disgraced because of that.
Oh wow. Cars on the Road, that's like the miniseries they put on Disney Plus. That's also pretty fire. It's pretty fire. Yeah.
Cars on the Road is good.
Yeah.
Cars on the Road is good.
Cars on the Road.
I highly approve of Cars on the Road. That was a great show that we were watching at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't even know why we talked about. Oh, this is about Texas and burning of the books. So, I'm not surprised that Texas is the one. I said burning books. That's Nazi shit. My bad. Texas is not burning the books. We don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't think they were burning them, but
them removing books. Yeah, removing them from libraries. I'm not surprised that it is Texas. That's kind of a Texas thing to do. They shouldn't be doing that though, because I have a friend. She's Jewish and her family's Jewish, but they're also kind of conservative, and so something was happening. I think Florida was doing a very similar thing because I remember them talking about this in Florida. But Florida was banning certain books from from schools because I don't know, it didn't align with their ideals.
I heard about
society, culture, all that stuff like that. And because it was kind of seen as like a conservative move, her conservative family was like, "Oh yeah, this is a great idea. You know, these kids shouldn't be reading books like this." Yeah, da da da, yeah, da da da. And then she was like, "Guys, what are you talking about? Like, you shouldn't really be banning this type of." They're kind of trying to rewrite history by removing these books. And the whole conservative family was just like, "Yeah, whatever, blah blah blah." Like they weren't really listening. And then she was like, "Look at this list and remember that this is a Jewish family." On the list, Anne Frank is also banned from these schools.
Are you serious?
Like these students are not allowed to read the Diary of Anne Frank. And all of a sudden, this conservative family turned into like a Jewish family really quickly and was like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe this is not such a good idea."
Dude, that's terrifying. So, how did the state government get away with that? I mean, I know like it's balanced so that like the federal government has some power and the state governments have some power, but I don't see how they are able to ban books. That's crazy.
No, it's problematic. And honestly, I know that there's some books that are just banned indefinitely in America. But I feel like no matter the book or how bad it is, I feel like you should always have access to the book. Because whether or not you decide to read it or not is up to you. You know what I mean? It's not like the internet or YouTube where you can't avoid it. Like you can really avoid a whole ass book and not have to worry about it. But when you limit access to books, you're also limiting what people can know.
Exactly.
Right? What people can understand. It's information. I mean, some of it is just like stories, but even the stories give something. So when you limit what people have access to, it's very it's very authoritarian to me.
Yeah. In the book I'm reading, which I think we talked about in a last episode, but I think it might be one of the lost episodes. Mistborn by this guy Brandon Sanderson, who's a very famous like fantasy author. It's really good. But he has all these books because he's like, studying a lot of stuff. This guy, Ellen Venture, and he has like fake covers on them because he has like forbidden texts by the sort of dictator. And so he has to like hide it. And this is like, a fantasy world.
This is inside the book Mistborn.
Yeah. And like, it's a fantasy world. We're not in the US, people our age, we're not used to like a dictatorship. We have this like, government system where we can like make decisions, but like that really shows that that's like a very monarch or dictator move. It's like banning knowledge. And I'm not saying that only monarchs or dictators can do that. Obviously, state government is like a big thing.
Obviously, we're in a democracy and we're doing that.
But the fact that the majority of people in Florida, like in the state government, decided to do that is like kind of terrifying.
It is. It feels it reminds me of Nazis too much with the whole burning of the books. And that's really where I got that that from.
And also the fact that they're
when you
banning
ban knowledge,
and Frank,
people.
that's why it also feels like very
yes, what I'm saying. It's like, look, I get it. Some books, I don't even know some of the books that are banned in America, but I'm sure not every book should be in every school, right? But I feel like Anne Frank is a very important book, and also whether or not you feel like someone should read it, I feel like you should at least let people have access to it because it is a really important book. So
yeah, I mean that's the point. I mean, also there's like multiple reasons for studying different texts here and there. Like sometimes, like you're studying a book that might not necessarily be, have the best morals, but you might be studying it for historical research. So I feel like part of the reason that we have access to books like that is so that we can be in the know on like what people are thinking, what people used to think, like all this, all that.
Yeah, contextualizing. Books are just literally like things of knowledge, and it's weird to ban books, man. It's weird. It's weird. I hope they change that. We'll see. I mean, this is kind of a Texas and Floridian problem, so that means that only Texans and Floridians can deal with what's going on in their state.
Both big states.
I hope they fix it. Oh no, both some of the most biggest. You know what I mean? They're in that list of like the top 10 states that really, I won't say matter in America because everybody matters, but there's significance there.
Yeah,
there's significance there for sure.
And obviously, I'm sure there are places in Florida and Texas that are not doing this. I don't want to speak for because they're huge states. I'm sure
that's true,
but
it could be specific districts like I don't know, maybe Miami's doing one thing and Jacksonville is doing something else. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm sure it's not a national decision, but is it a state or a local decision for my NSL fans out there?
I don't think we have any NSL fans.
Whoa. That was like one of my favorite classes in high school.
It was one of my favorite classes, but you got to understand what you meant when you said like an NSL fan. Would you call yourself like a fan?
Of national, state, and local governments? Well, I think it's cool that people can decide like what you want on a local level to some extent, because it's like you can get a traffic light built in your town.
But you gotta understand, like you said, fan. Like, what does that even mean to be a fan of like national, state, and local legislatures? Like,
I guess it's more so like a fan of the setup of like democracy or something like that is the best way to say it.
Interesting.
But that being said, it obviously has flaws. Like, yeah, it obviously has flaws. But the way that it's built to, like, the concept of it sounds nice. But the concept of a lot of governments have a nice pitch, and then they end up having huge problems. But when I said NSL fans, I didn't mean a national, state, and local government fan. I'm not like openly advocating that this is like my favorite form of government. Like, watch out. People are
I was confused.
Like, oh,
no, like, what does that mean?
Love this, like nationals. Anyway,
look at this guy. He's an NSL fan. Oh,
that I enjoyed that class a lot because it was the study of the type of government we have. There are a lot of ups and a lot of downs of the type of government we have. But it was fun to study it.
I'm not even sure if I'm a fan of the class or I'm just a fan of our class specifically. That's because I'm a fan of our class. Yeah. But if it was any other teacher teaching the same subject, I'm not sure if it would be nearly as fun.
Was he your favorite teacher as well?
He's in my top 3 to 5. Mr. A?
Mr. A, yeah.
I know Mr. K likes to pretend like it was his class, but it was really Mr. A's class. He wasn't there.
Oh, well, it was just a student teacher, It was like Mr. A was getting trained.
No, but he was there 80% of the time. He was really the one teaching us. Like, Mr. K was only there at the beginning and then the very end. So we didn't really know him compared to Mr. A.
Oh, we didn't really know him, yeah, but I think that's how it's supposed to be. It's like a teacher training thing. So I thought it was cool. That's a cool thing that people are able to sort of train.
I've had teacher trainers before, and I feel like it's usually they're only teaching for like a week or a good month or something. It's split up a little bit more evenly, but like, I don't know. When I walked out of that class, I recognized it only as Mr. A's class. It's not Mr. K's class.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, again, just because he was given an extended period of time to teach us. But at the same time, I think sometimes like rotating teachers between one class, like every day, would be distracting almost, because it's like you learn one thing from one teacher one day. So I think it's nice that it was almost like he was like a long-term, yeah, he was a long-term student teacher. So that way, um, you know, he could be observed and then given notes at the end of class so that he can become, a better teacher as he's like learning. Like, I thought that was really awesome.
No, for his education, I'm sure it's great, but just in terms of relationships, I create a really strong relationship with him, and because he taught it in such a drawing way, like there was no way you weren't going to learn something from this class and have a good time doing it. Going back to a teacher who's like doesn't do that is just like, what happened?
I would say they both had enthusiasm about it, but I really did enjoy.
It's not the same. It's not weighted the same though. Like Mr. K was all right, but Mr. A is the GOAT.
All right, you're saying you're saying your opinions. I'm gonna say mine. I think they both did a fantastic job, but it was very fun. A lot of the times, it was very enthusiastic in class, and a lot of times teachers can really make a class.
Teachers can really make a class. Speaking of teachers, I almost this week emailed one of my old middle school teachers because this is better explained in this little meme that I found.
Okay, wait, I don't want to give out the teacher's name, but like give me the class they taught / like the circumstances so that I can understand.
Miss G.
What subject?
It was, I believe it was like, you know how like you had a writing class and a reading class,
yes,
and they were different classes.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about.
I think she did reading back in middle school.
I had her for English, but I had somebody else for reading. She did English and reading, I think.
Okay, I had her for reading, and like you ever see those like videos of the teacher brings out like To Kill a Mockingbird or some book with the N-word in it, and like the moment that, like the N-word comes up in the text, the teacher gets all like kind of excited and shit, and then the student just like reads it, and it just kind of creates this really awkward moment.
Yes, some teachers would have the kids read it, and some teachers would have the kids not read it.
Yeah, I think my later class, Mr. I won't reveal his last name, but Mr. B from 12th grade, who passed away, unfortunately, he would not let people read it, which was good. But Miss G, she didn't give a fuck. she just like, not only did she made people like let it rip, but she was like, I don't say she was forcing it, but she was like, it would come up and then a student would hesitate, and then she would be like, oh no, read the whole thing. It was like I don't know, I just have a memory of that in my head of how like kind of awkward that was. And then I saw this TikTok about that specific situation, and it was obviously exaggerated to the max, just like this teacher who's super over enthusiastic about it. And I was like, oh, this is funny, and it connects to a memory that I have. I'm gonna send it to my teacher. So I was gonna send this overly exaggerated TikTok to my teacher. Unfortunately, I decided, let me wait a couple days and see if I still want to do it. But I was close, man. I was really close. I was about to let it rip.
Hey, man. That would have been wild. I wonder.
That's the thing. It's like either one of two things will happen. Either A, she'll laugh with me and be like, ha, 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 the good old days. Or she's going to be like, wait, did I do that as a teacher? I didn't mean to do that. Legally, you cannot use this as admissible, whatever, like either taking it too seriously or taking it too funny. So,
yeah. Oh, wow. The education system growing up, it's interesting.
Education system.
It's interesting, like, that it's cool that we went to, like, same elementary, middle, and high school. So, like, we can, like, reference all the teachers.
Yeah, we can reference the same people. It's awesome. I highly recommend having someone that went through elementary, middle school, and high school with, because I feel like no matter what happens in our lives as adults, we always have those shared memories where we can go back and be like, yeah, this happened, that happened. You'd understand.
Yeah, I'd say overall, I was pretty blessed with teachers over the years. Like for the most part, obviously, like in some grades, you have teachers that you don't get along with here and there. But I think overall in the system, I had more that I got along with. And like obviously when they were passionate about teaching their subject, that's when it really was nice to listen in. Like you said for NSL. Like he was so enthusiastic about it that it made it like so much more fun. And I feel like that type of enthusiasm is what's really, really nice to have in a classroom setting.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like in my career as a grade school student, I had some of the best teachers. I had good teachers. You know, there's always in every grade, there's always the teachers that are the freaking worst, just the bottom tier. Like you'll hate them when you begin, you'll hate them even more after the class. Like I didn't have a lot of those. Some people tended to have a lot of those types of teachers. I was not one of them. And so overall, I had a pretty good, not even a good experience, but a great one because these teachers, you know, just name a few off the top. There was Mr. G, Mr. V. There's just a couple teachers, Miss S. Like these are teachers that shaped who I am. You know what I mean? I don't think I would be in my position right now if some of these teachers didn't take a gamble in saying, hey, I think you're really, really good. I think you're better than what you think you are. And I'm going to push you to do this because I think this might help you.
That's a really good feeling. I agree. But let me go refill my water. So you have a very short Sean only podcast and no more roasting book club.
Man, fuck that book club. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I don't hate book club. It's just I didn't want that as a class that I take every week. If I wanted a book club, I would read a book.
Sean hates books.
Jesus Christ. Don't TMZ me, bro. All right. I said if I wanted to do a book club, I would do it on books that I cared about, like nonfiction filmmaking books or fiction books like Harry Potter or something. I would rather do it on that and not a book about how neoliberalization affected the Middle East and globalization, just like stuff that I don't care about. You know what I mean? I learned a lot of interesting information, that's for sure. Like, I don't want to take that away. It was great information that it has reshaped how I see the world. But did I want to come in every week, 2 times a week, to just do a book club while I have other classes going on? And this isn't even important for the major that I want to do? No.
I disagree. Because like I had a lot of theater classes in college where I was required to read like a play or a portion of a play before class. And those were some of my favorite discussions. Like, even though some of the kids like sometimes
you're reading plays.
So are you not reading
plays?
Are you not reading like screenplays?
No, we're reading about, that's what I'm trying to say. The book was how neoliberalization and globalization of the economy affected the Middle East.
What class is this?
This was globalization of the Middle East.
Okay, so it's why do you have to take that class? Like, is it a gen ed or something?
No, so it's a gen ed. It's a gen ed class basically. And I thought the topic would be interesting because I thought we'd be exploring the Middle East. It's been 2-3 weeks. We didn't even get to the Middle East. We were just talking about all this other stuff that was like, okay, interesting, but I think this class is too hard and the material is not interesting enough for me to want to match it.
Are you talking right now about the like the sort of like going over what globalization is? Is that what like the first few weeks are?
The first few weeks was not even globalization. Just we were going over the rise of a particular political wave that changed things, but also who actually benefited from it and who didn't. That's what we're going over.
It sounds like you're getting there. It sounds like you're getting to the
I feel like if I stayed, eventually maybe halfway through the class, we finally get to the Middle East. But the way that the class was taught was literally just like, all right, read 90 pages in the next 2 days, and then when you come back, we will talk about what you saw in the book.
That's fair. A lot of the times there was actually I was semi lucky in that it wasn't usually like I had to read like insane amounts of pages before the next class. But I have seen a lot of homework from other people that I know in college sometimes where it's like a ridiculous amount of reading, like 90 pages from like Monday to Wednesday. And I'm like,
that's literally what I have. And it's like, look, I don't want to sound like a bum. Like, honestly, I could do it, but I was weighing like, was it worth it? Because if this was a film class, I wouldn't hesitate to do that. I don't give a shit, dude. Like I really pressed myself in that. But this was a class that was supposed to be about the Middle East. I'm not really interested in the content. The teacher himself was an asshole. This guy, okay, he was an asshole in the way of like.
Wait, did you drop the class? You keep talking about it in the past.
I dropped this class, so I don't have it anymore. But the teacher of this class, he was kind of an asshole in the sense that like he would always find a way to pick on me, and like he even got into a fight with a verbal fight with a student about like this opinion that he had. So I was like, okay, I'm not really too hot about the teacher. The material, although some of it is interesting, it's not that interesting to want to read 90 pages of it. The only reason I would want to stay in this class is for my pride and just saying like, this class was difficult and I beat it. Like, I'm at a point in my life where my pride is not really worth that much. So I switched to a different class that was more my speed, which was lecture based. And the topic, in my opinion, is actually way more interesting.
Fair enough, man. A lot of times also with the gen eds, like you're like, I want to spend the majority of my time on my major, like film. And with the gen eds, like I'll do the homework and I'll get it done. But like, I can't take this one if it's going to be 90 pages of reading between 2 days while I'm also filming and all that stuff. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I had to weigh my options basically. So look, like for me, I had a little personal turmoil with it because I was like, oh, I don't want to give up. Like this professor already knows me. He clearly seeks me out every class. Like I don't want to like bail on him. Like I don't want to seem like, oh, the work was too much for me, so I left. Like all that was in my head, just like making me want to stay. But then I thought about it really. I'm like, all right, let my pride go for a second. Let my ego go. Do I want to stay or do I want to leave?
Should I stay or should I go now?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I let it go. And when I see him, you know what I mean? It's on site. Like if he tries to verbally try to like give me a little, like backhand, I'm gonna give him a little backhand back. But yeah, speaking of, I wanted to talking about is Jay here?
Jay's here. Why do you want a sneak appearance from Jay?
I just wanted to quickly say hi to
Sean
Jay.
says hi.
Tell him I said hi, and also Fat D is dropping September 22nd. Tell him that the Fat D is dropping.
He said Fat D is dropping September 22nd.
Fat D?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay.
Oh, Jay's hip already.
All right, good. We all need to know when that Fat D is coming.
So Olivia Rodrigo's album dropped, and my favorite song on first listen was Ballad of a Homeschool Girl.
Ballad of a Homeschool Girl. What's the vibe? So is she still going with that like punky, rocky pop aesthetic from the last album, or is it different?
I would say yes, she is. I would say and I've only listened to it like 1.5 times. I like listened to it all the way through, and then I listened to a few that I like didn't like notice as much on the first listen, because like a lot of the times, it takes a few listens to like really get hip to it.
Yeah, album is a lot of music. It's a lot of music.
But that being said, it also has like slow songs, like some slower songs, and then some like punk rock songs, like the first album. I would say the punk might actually be a little bit more punky in a whole than the first one, but I would say there's definitely like enough variety in sound that it doesn't feel like she's repeating the first album.
I was gonna say, like, does this just feel like a sequel where everything's just bigger, badder, crazier, or is it like she's kind of changed creatively into a different route?
So that's a good question. I don't know.
I know with
I feel like the first. Oh, sorry.
I was saying I know with at least Drake, his early albums was very much in one specific direction, and it was just becoming more and more of what he already was as a style. So it felt like sequels. But then after like the fourth, fifth album, it started becoming more of a, all right, I want to try this now, and then I want to try this, and then I want to try this style over here. And so the style just kind of became like, you know, this artist wants to go into different things rather than continuing off of what they already built.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, because Rodrigo is kind of like one of the biggest, in my opinion, she is probably at least the top 3 biggest pop stars out in the past 3 to 4 years.
As far as new artists go.
And it's only off of that. And she's still like a new artist just off of that first album. So I wonder what the second album is going to be. Is it doubling down on what you already have, or is it changing the?
That's a good question.
The subject.
I feel like what's interesting is that the first album feels like it's all about one person. Like, I don't know if the second album is all about one person. I feel like some of the songs are maybe more so about her, like her individual feelings about herself. Mm-hmm. That being said, though, I feel like those are also on the first album. Like Brutal is also that. But yeah, I mean, I'd have to like listen a few more times before I can tell you. I feel like this one might be about multiple people because I feel like some of the songs are different, but it could still be about one person. I really don't know. That being said, I feel like it's still in the same vein as the last album. It's like punky and acoustic here and there, but I don't think in like a repetitive way. I think it's in an addition way. So like, if you really liked the first album, there's a lot that you'll like in this album as well. But the emotions are maybe more varied on this album. Like there's a few more here and there that she doesn't bring. I don't know if I like it as much as the first one because like the first one is like so cohesive, but I can't really say because I've only listened to it barely.
I was going to say the pressure between the first album and the second album is different because the first album, you have an unlimited amount of time to make it perfect. Second album, you're on the clock, right? Like people are expecting another project after your first project. So I was going to ask actually, does this one sound more industry to you, or is she still in her own like kind of independent style?
I would say it sounds like independent still. I would totally say that. You know, I think it's a really solid second album, and after I listen more, I'll be able to distinguish whether or not it's better than the first. But I really don't even want to answer that because I only listened like one time.
It's too early, yeah. I feel. Yeah. I'm just really curious because what happens sometimes in this, you know, sophomore project era is you're just putting out songs because you have to put out songs because you got to keep yourself relevant. So you're just kind of making music, but you're not like, you don't really have a purpose for why you're making it. So
I would not say that's the case.
Understand that.
I would not say that's the case.
Oh, this is an intentional, like she was like, nah, I'm ready to do a project. Let's do this.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Anyway,
speaking of I had a really good segues like 3 times, and now I've lost all my segues. I was watching. Actually, maybe I didn't say this on the last pod because that got canned. But I've been watching Game of Thrones, and
we did.
It's not a Game of Thrones podcast, but okay, good. I was watching Game of Thrones,
but it did get canned. Homework. I do think it got canned.
Oh, that's the one that got canned.
Is it? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
We talked about Game of Thrones and Mistborn. I'm pretty sure that's the one that got canned.
Okay. Anyway, I'll rehash it really quickly. So I would come home from school, and while I'm doing my homework, I would put on an episode of Game of Thrones, or maybe 2, or maybe 3. So basically, this whole first couple of weeks, I've been watching Game of Thrones and doing schoolwork and a little bit of my creative film stuff. And I just finished Game of Thrones maybe 2 days ago. I watched the final episode and then watched a documentary on like how they were making the final season, along with some of the opinions around that final season. And I gotta say, Game of Thrones was such an accident in terms of it becoming one of the best shows ever made. And I think that luck ran out in that final season.
You're saying it's luck that it was so good? Why are you saying it was luck?
Let me explain to you what happened, bro. Let me explain to you what happened with this. So the creators of the show, their name is, or their collective name is D&D, which is Dave and Dan. It's these two white guys that
Dungeons and Dragons.
I guess read the books. I know, right? It's these two dudes that I guess read the book and saw the potential for a TV show, and they were like, "All right, like George R.R. Martin, we want to turn your show into, we want to turn your books into a show with HBO. Are you down?" And George R.R. Martin was like, "All right, the only way I'll let you turn this into a TV show is if you can guess who Jon Snow's mom is."
Okay.
I shit you not.
Don't spoil it for people, but did they guess?
I'm not gonna say who it is. I'm not gonna say who it is, but they guessed it correctly. And this is before the books. The books aren't even done yet, so I'm not even sure if the books have revealed who Jon Snow's mom is. But so the books didn't have the information, so they just figured it out by luck. You know what I mean? And so George was like, "All right, yeah, go ahead, make the show." And then they went to HBO. And keep this in mind, D&D have never worked on a TV show before, ever.
Oh, really? They were just
in their life. These are not two producers that have worked on a TV show. They haven't even screenwritten before.
They're just two blokes.
They're just two. I mean, one of them, they said that they were like a small time screenwriter for a small TV production, but they really haven't done anything. They haven't really made any shows. This guy says he's done some screenwriting. I don't even think it was for a show. I think it was for like a class or something. Like these are new people in the game. HBO heard the concept and they were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll do it. We'll give you $10.6 million to shoot the pilot." Right? They shot the pilot. And there was some important, I won't spoil anything about it, but there was some important information in the pilot that wasn't coming across when they showed it to like test audiences. So they kind of decided that the pilot, if they showed it on HBO, it would be a dud. So HBO was like, "All right, we're going to give you another $10 million to shoot the second episode. And then we're going to screen the second episode first. And hopefully people will be hooked with the second, that they'll watch the first one and then want to watch the whole season." And they got to shoot. Not only did they shoot the first episode, which didn't work, apparently for audiences, they got to shoot a second episode, and that did work. And so they got to do all of Game of Thrones.
Wow. So wait, the second episode was only for test audiences though, right? Because they still dropped it like 1, 2, 3. Or did they drop it like 2, like 1, 3?
Kevin, this was a decade ago when TV networks were different. I'm actually not sure if they showed the pilot first. I think they might have aired the second episode first.
Why are you on
something
pause?
Like that?
I can't see you.
Oh, someone's calling me.
Oh. Guest on the podcast.
Hold on.
I
don't even want to. Let me finish this really quickly, and then I might have to take this call.
Okay.
Where was I?
You can take it, and I can have a Kevin only podcast.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Have a Kevin only podcast because they're calling me back.
Finally,
I'll be right back, ladies and
Kevin
gentlemen. Enjoy the
podcast.
Kevin only podcast.
All right, everybody. So Sean, hates books. It's unfortunate, but and he's taking this call right now. But you heard it. You heard it here first. Unfortunately. Anyway, this book that I'm talking about, Mistborn, I guess in the same spirit of Game of Thrones, is like a sort of high fantasy book, right? It's so cool. They like, I think it's in one of the canned episodes that I talked about it, but I've been reading the first book in the morning and then I've been reading the sequel at night. And that's because when I moved back home, like I couldn't find the first book. And so I just like started reading the second one. and and I hadn't like picked up the first one in a while, and the second one was like so good that I was like, all right, I gotta like keep reading the first one. And like it's been like weirdly like satisfying to like read the first and the second one at the same time, that honestly I kind of recommend doing this with other books. The thing is, a lot of the time in these types of books, you need to know how the world works before you get invested. Luckily, I'd already read like 100 pages of the first one, so I knew how the sort of like magic worked and all that stuff, which is pretty cool. There are these guys that like basically they can consume metal, like a form of metal, whether it be like steel, tin, all this stuff. And when they do that, they're called allomancers. They get like powers. So like tin like enhances your eyesight, and pewter I think like lets you like push off of metal so that it like shoots you up in the air. Most people that are allomancers, they're already, a dime a dozen, but like they only have one power. And then and then there's something called Mistborn. I don't think there's anybody that has like two powers. It's just like if you're an allomancer, you have one power, whether it be like you can consume tin, you can consume pewter, you can consume bronze. But like Mistborn people, it's like 1 in 10,000 can consume all of them. And so they can like basically fly and stuff because they can like push against the metals, and then they can like see really far and do all this cool stuff.
Or
but,
it's
like the metals like run out after a while, after the characters burn the metals in their stomach or their reserve of metal.
Answer me.
And it's so cool. The first one's
Answer me.
Like interesting because it's almost just like,
is he telling a really good story and I'm interrupting?
It's almost just like romance.
Oh no!
Like
I'm interrupting Kevin's story. Isn't that so sad?
Type thing.
It's tragic,
but it's also like
we can't hear you,
like
Kevin.
And, like, and like the balance of that is pretty cool. Because like sometimes you're like, I don't know how this is gonna be. Is it just gonna be like
I can literally just I can go to your live right now and see what you're doing.
It's a really nice balance, and the fight scenes are really fun to read. Where I was talking to my sister the other day about how sometimes like fight scenes can be annoying to read, but these are like really exciting. And the second one is also cool. That one is more so I guess it would be
Answer.
I don't know how to describe it.
I can see him telling a really good story too.
It's more so I would say the first one is more so a attack type of book, and the second one is more so a defense type of book. And you get like a lot of the same characters, obviously. So it's pretty exciting to go like back and forth between them both. Yeah, I have no idea what call Sean is taking, but it seems like he's giving me quite a bit of time for this Kevin Only podcast. So like now I got to switch up the topic. I don't even know what to talk about next.
Dude, answer! You dick!
What month is it?
You dick! I'm not giving you more time. Answer the goddamn call.
Of September.
I'm trying to get back in.
I'm waiting for the 21st night of September to see, what happens on that night because
answer.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going to happen on the 21st night of September. It could be anything.
Oh my God! Is he saying that? I'm giving him. I'm giving him too much time. There's too much time. You piece of shit! Answer the goddamn. Look, I'm calling this man right now, bro.
There was like a lightning.
Oh my God! You piece of shit!
I already talked about it a little bit.
You piece of shit.
But it was really nice. Sometimes I really like. I mean, I already talked about how I like playing board games and stuff like that at night. But speaking about how Sean and I, sort of like that. I also and how we like nature sounds. I love the sound of a thunderstorm. Like it's so cool. Like just like rain, the occasional thunder strike, the occasional flash of lightning out the window. It's just cool. It's just like varying. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting to hear whether people prefer the summer or prefer the cold. Like sometimes people hate the cold, so they never dream of moving up north to like New England or New England and stuff like that. But then some people like love the heat, so they would. Oh wait, that's the same. Yeah, some people hate the cold and love the heat, so they wouldn't go north, but they would go south. And then some people love the heat. Some people love the cold. There's less people that love the cold, I feel like. But I might be wrong. I feel like if you like surveyed like the U.S. population that like less people would like the cold and more people would like the heat. But I have no idea.
Oh my God, he
I kind of like
know that
both.
I'm back.
Honestly, I kind of prefer. I like fall. Fall is my favorite season because it's like a mix of both. You know, you start getting the breeze, which means you can pull out the jackets and you can. It's almost like a fashion thing. You can like make more dynamic stuff with the outfits.
Dude,
in summer, it's usually like t-shirt and shorts. With there's nothing wrong with the classic t-shirt and shorts. It's also so nice to be able to walk outside and not have to put too much clothing on. One of the frustrating things about this area, though, is that it's so humid.
Hello?
So like, you'll be walking
Answer
around,
the phone!
sticky, you'll be getting stinky and all that stuff. Whereas in LA, when it's really hot, it's really hot. But the dry heat makes it so you don't really sweat that much.
He has no idea.
Yeah. So it's very different.
How do I tell him?
It's interesting.
Yo, somebody tell him to answer the goddamn phone.
After talking this much, because of this like Kevin only podcast, I start to wonder how many other podcasts are just like one person. Right? I feel like most podcasts have at least two people talking, whether it be like an interview or whether it be like a true crime podcast where they're chatting back and forth about a story. You know, a lot of the times like podcasters like Howard Stern or something have somebody to play off of, like Robin in his case, and so they can like chat back and forth. But when you just do it by yourself, it's like you don't really have somebody else to like bounce off of. You know, like what am I supposed to do? Like, I guess I could bounce off of my own points. I mean,
I gotta call
that's fun too. But debate is fun. You know what I'm saying? That's why lecture classes are fun. Like Sean said, it's always nice to, have something to debate with other people. That being said, I would argue that like the reading book thing, like the reading and then going into class, is still a way to debate with people about like, how you perceive the book, or like what you liked about the chapter, what you didn't, what was cool about the writing, what wasn't quite working or coming across, all that stuff. So
I hear this guy talking mad shit about me as he doesn't answer the goddamn phone.
Let's see. What else have I not talked about? I'm glancing around the room for inspiration.
Kevin, answer the phone. Kevin, I am back. I didn't say that shit. I didn't say that reading book clubs are bad. All right.
Let's talk about
answer
movies.
the goddamn
What's the most
phone?
recent movie I watched?
Jay. Por favor. What the
fuck? I watched a movie now that I think about it. What was the last movie I watched? I don't know.
Kevin, check your phone. No, check your phone.
There's a few that are on my list.
Check
to check
your
out.
phone.
I still want to watch Barbenheimer.
Check your phone.
Once it's on streaming. I unfortunately haven't seen it yet. I know.
Can I send hearts?
But
what if I do this?
Soon,
what if I do this? Can you see that?
There's I wanted to see that Dracula movie, like the one where like it was like kind of like the sort of bat-like Dracula, and it all took place on a ship. I heard it was like okay, but it looked really fun. I thought it was going to be a good one. I don't know if that's still in theaters or not. What I do know is that AMC right now is like showing a lot of like old movies in theaters. Like they were showing like The Incredibles on the big screen, and I thought it would be awesome to see some of those like old those old Disney movies and stuff like that, like in theater. Because I mean, I was like 4 when that came out, so even if I did see it in theaters, which maybe I did, I don't remember the experience. And I really like the experience of being in like the dark theater with like a big screen and just like watching it. Yeah, it's nice at home and streaming, but I do prefer the theater experience.
How do I get his attention, bro?
I was actually talking with someone the other day about how the interview, like the one with Seth Rogen that he made, it stirred up so much controversy. If you remember, that like literally like there was sort of this whole thing where
why aren't you checking
Kim
on
Jong-un,
me? Like, check on me.
Like, didn't want it to be shown in U.S.
have to
theaters.
keep running.
So there was this huge tense like moment between him and the U.S. and most theaters took it out. Some theaters showed it on their own.
Oh my God.
But it ended up going on YouTube streaming. And this was like before streaming became big. But it worked because it was like a fully funded movie that got put on YouTube streaming. So people were like willing to pay for it. And my family all watched it together because it was so interesting politically. You know what I'm saying? It was like relevant to politics. A lot of times movies are, all forms of media. And so we watched it. I thought it was a good one. And I believe that was sort of the beginning of the streaming era. Like, I'd be intrigued to hear what other people thought the first movie in the streaming era was. But I feel like because that was such a big political moment and it came before COVID and all that stuff, like multiple years before, that's really like the sort of origin of it. I don't know though, because I don't know if Netflix already funded all those like Netflix originals at that time. I'd have to like look at the dates and try to like figure out like exactly what the order was. Yeah, I don't really know. But fall is on its way. I saw some leaves from the trees like blowing, outside the window the other day. And I was like, wow, it's finally here. Pretty soon we'll have the orange and yellow leaves. Some places don't have fall. Some places only have one season. Or so it seems.
I'm emailing him.
Fall's like my favorite. So I'm really excited.
Him.
The pumpkins,
I have texted him.
like
I have
all
called
of that,
him.
Halloween.
I have FaceTimed him. I even called his brother.
Holiday.
And I tried to FaceTime his brother.
It might be.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's just so fun.
On the chat,
you get to wear different costumes, all this, all that.
Comments and
last year, Sean and I did Batman and Robin.
He's doing this intentionally.
I've been watching Batman the animated series.
Stop listening to what he's saying.
I mean,
he's doing this intentionally so that he can have a much longer Kevin only Starbound podcast.
So watching all the
he wants to go on for 30 minutes
introduced
without me. That's what it really is.
Left and right. You got like the Penguin in one episode. You got Mr. Freeze in the other episode. You got Man Bat in the other episode, who in my opinion is slept on. Man Bat, he's just like a giant bat. Yeah. And it's fun.
We're not fans
like
of
Batman versus Man Bat. Sorry. You know what I'm saying?
I saw that's a lot.
I've heard a little bit about the Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson.
Well, they reported it.
I've heard that they're trying to bring Robin into it. Which is interesting because I feel like Robin is a character that's like so difficult to do in live action because Batman just like gets this like teenage kid, probably like 13 or something usually, and then like trains him to like become a crime fighter like at that age. It seems ridiculous. It's like, how can you have that in live action and make it realistic? I don't understand how a man in Batman the animated series though, Robin's already a college student, so I feel like that's the take that they should do rather than having like a young Robin. He doesn't have to be like an adult.
How do you expect me to reach you?
Because if you remember in like the Dark Knight trilogy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's like this cop, and those are I think more than 10 years old at this point. So I'll get into some spoiler stuff. Pause right now if you don't want the Dark Knight trilogy spoiled. Yeah, I think at the end of it, Joseph Gordon.
We're gonna have to sit here and wait for him to finish for this fucking episode.
Hinted that he's the next Robin. I thought that was cheesy.
I'm watching him go on for an hour, and at some point he's gonna fucking check my text messages. You bitch.
So yeah, I think he should probably be about college age, and for some reason, like, or maybe he's like, because you gotta have the thing where he like, he's like an acrobat and he like loses his parents in this sort of like
I want to get through my Game of Thrones story because I feel like it's super interesting.
Like kills his parents, or that's what's
can't
revealed eventually.
Because
like that's so dramatic. That'd make for like a good scene in a movie.
They didn't even when do you check your shit?
Batman movies.
Should I send a pigeon?
I don't think anyway. Not that I can recall. Yeah, so that'd be great. I'd really enjoy that. That'd be fun. There are some good episodes, though, I will say, of Robin-based stuff, live action in the show Titans, if you're a big Robin fan. Anyway, that's enough about Robin.
I'm trying to think what will get his attention.
What else?
Because I literally... He's just going to have to check me.
All right.
Check your emails.
Let's have a water break. I'm going to take a few sips
your
of
phone.
Water. You take a few sips of water.
Go ahead.
I hope you have some water near you because you can never have enough water. I mean,
how about you check your phone? Check your phone.
But
Kevin, check your phone.
Like, it's pretty good for
Kevin, check your phone.
It really is a good way to refresh your
See, this is what happens when motherfuckers are not on their phone. Check your phone. Go get your refreshment and check your goddamn phone.
Where I tell you all the health benefits of water. I mean, it's got a pH of 7. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, come on. Not too basic.
He's talking about the health benefits of water. God damn it, check your phone. Why do you feel like I'm not on the call for that long, bro?
Warm water.
Check your phone. You think I would wait on the call for this long?
I would like drink.
Maybe he would actually. Maybe I would do something like that. I'm more insulted that he thinks I would do that.
I've sort of, I don't know what it is.
Ain't nobody want to hear you talk about no goddamn water, bro. It's a
goddamn fan of water.
He's gonna look back at this and be like, "Oh, I can see why Sean is so upset."
Yeah.
How do you keep reaching for the water and not reach for your phone?
Yesterday, I did go exploring.
Aren't you curious?
I did go skateboarding.
Aren't you curious? I did everything I could, bro. I commented. I commented in his live. I sent emojis through his live. I texted him, called him, FaceTimed him. I even FaceTimed his brother and called his brother, who's also not picking up for some reason. Like, what do you want me to do to tell you I'm back?
The lightning.
Check my live. Check my live, bro.
Cars still, like I said earlier, it's just one of the best, simply put. Yeah, so I was skateboarding through the lightning storm, and it was so cool because, like, just like when you're inside and you can hear the natural sounds of, the grass and the trees.
Just keep calling.
It's the same when you're skateboarding through a lightning storm. It's just like thunder and like cool lights and like the sound. It actually wasn't raining when I went, but still, it was like so satisfying and like a cool environment to roam around in. Like Gene Kelly says, I'm singing in the rain. It wasn't raining, but still, sometimes I do like singing in the rain, splashing in puddles, all that stuff. I also love dancing. You might have not known that about me. Dancing to music and singing along to it, or just lip syncing it, whether it be in the car or in the house. So if you're also a fan of like just dancing and, lip syncing music from wherever, then that's epic. And I hope you let me know, because it's always nice to meet another music and dance lover. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
why is no one?
Sean's really taking his time on this call.
Why is no one over there answering? Is Maryland going through a windstorm where
now let me
no one can get any access?
Right? Give me a few.
I'm not taking my time, you bitch.
You also take a sip of your water.
You said I was taking my time. How about you check your phone? How is he going this long and not checking? He's not even curious if I called him. He's not even curious.
How?
He doesn't even want to check. Pick up your goddamn phone, bro.
Because sometimes I think the most frequent place to listen to a podcast is the car.
I'm insulted.
But a lot of the times when I would like do chores throughout the house, I listen to podcasts. Or like in college, yeah, I would like, I'd have to do like my laundry and all that stuff, and so I'd like put my my AirPods in and do that. But oh my gosh, before I had AirPods, I know it's like I'm just like advertising.
I wish I could like mentally,
Apple, like the biggest company of all time. But still,
I wish I could.
I have my classic AirPods,
just fucking
earbuds,
like take
that
my
went into my iPhone
and put it right up his ass.
Like whenever I was like close
to
class,
not only does he assume that I'm on the call for that long, he didn't even feel like it was necessary to even text me or see if I was trying to text him.
I got the AirPods, and
so he assumes I'm taking my time on this call,
and put them in the
and then he assumes.
Yeah, they're one of my
that I wouldn't hit him back,
or
he assumes not to hit me or check his fucking phone. Not even his computer. His computer is right there. He's not even checking it. I emailed him.
But
I emailed him.
Sometimes I'm
what do you want me to do after the
email?
email?
Beethoven, doing a bunch of musical stuff without being able to hear. Although that's very impressive.
How do I contact?
Personally,
I send him a Venmo.
Prefer not
I want to send him a Venmo request.
Journey.
Maybe you'll see that
in life. So yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Okay, let's talk about food. So my personal favorite food is pizza. I love pepperoni on pizza if I had to pick a topping. And, sometimes pizza requires no topping.
He didn't.
That's like based on the quality of pizza, in my opinion. My family, we love pizza, so
you're not seeing the Venmo request. You're not seeing me. You're not seeing me do anything.
I
Bro,
got you.
Check your phone.
Fantastic places
check it.
Here.
See that I'm trying to contact you.
Yeah. Specifically, like
look at this man.
Bethesda,
he hasn't checked his phone once.
They just have some fantastic pizza. There's some good ones down the pike though too. There really is. If you're familiar with the area, I'm sorry if you're not. But yeah. One of the things I missed in LA the most was pizza, which is why I'm such a fan. It's like I come back home.
You don't see
any
of this?
Pizza's here. This is incredible. You
don't see any of this.
Let's get into like a story time because I feel like that'd be a good way to fill this void. Oh, I think Jay.
You don't want to check your phone.
Yes, Jay.
Tell him to check his phone.
Sean's taking. Did you just go skateboarding?
Tell him to check his phone.
Jay just went skateboarding. Did you do any tricks?
Yeah.
Woo! Do you want to join me right now? Because Sean is taking a call, and I'm just talking to myself on this podcast.
Right now, I'm sweaty.
Jay is embarrassed that he's sweaty, unfortunately. But it's okay, Jay. I understand. It'd be like that sometimes.
Tell him to check his phone.
Yeah. Not as it has been, but
like humid?
Yeah.
I feel like it's not like
you're talking to Jay. How are both of you not at your phone?
Heat,
yeah,
but it's like
you get sweaty.
It's casual at first, and then when you start skateboarding,
how is Jay there?
I know, dude, but it's the best view.
I'm upset
of the city. Yeah, of DC.
Oh my
Keep it rocking. Keep it rocking. Well, let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild East. Something like that. Oh yeah, I was gonna get into a story. What would be like a good story to tell?
Jay was there. Jay, for some reason, also doesn't have his phone on him.
Maybe like
and neither of them have decided to check their fucking phone. Oh my god.
Oh no, I probably shouldn't tell that story. Sorry. One day, but not yet.
So it's taking a long time. I'm not taking a long time. You're not checking.
I gotta say. Ooh, since I was talking about fall, maybe like a story about like Halloween. Oh.
Bro.
Yeah, I can say this one. I can say this one. So we all know sort of like the archetype of like a haunted house, right? Like what is a haunted house? Like what do you expect out of one? And
who are you talking to? What are you looking at?
Somebody like this one house that I stopped to on Halloween one time with a bunch of my friends.
Dude, I've been here now for like 20, 30 minutes.
We're almost scared to go up to it, and because it really had that sort of like, so there was a bunch of hedges out front that had these like really like specific shapes and stuff like that. And it was just like terrifying to go up to, but like, when you're a little kid, you like got to get that candy and stuff like that. So we go up there like banging on the door and like nobody answers. And we're like, what the heck? We got to get our candy. It's like a trick or treat. And what I realized is that like trick or treat, I mean, it means like either we're going to trick you, like we're about to fool you, or you give us candy. Like how did Halloween start? Like, was it a bunch of kids that really demanded that they get treats? So they would like pull pranks on the house otherwise? Like the kids on Halloween used to run around with toilet paper and start like TPing houses if they didn't get their treats? I don't know. I would like to study the origin of Halloween. I bet it has something.
This man's talking about Halloween.
Similar in concept to like the Day of the Dead or something like that. But I don't know the exact origin of wait, hold on. When is the Day of the Dead? Let's check. Oh, it's literally November 1st. To November 2nd. So yeah. Wait, but the Day of the Dead. Yeah. Okay. So Halloween must just be like sort of another version of the Day of the Dead or something like that, I guess. Anyway, still one of my favorite holidays. Dress up, makeup, all that stuff. That's what the Day of the Dead and Halloween have in common, right? And so, so we knock on this door and like nobody's answering. So it's kind of spooky.
No.
And then there was like little window like on the door. So we like peeked through because, we were angry little kids who didn't get our treats. So we had to trick. No, we didn't actually trick. But when we glanced in the door, they were just like,
I tried everything I could to contact
statues.
Him. He has intentionally decided, along with his brother,
tiny statues that had.
I don't have any. I emailed them. Like they're right next to the computers. They're not checking it.
Like it was like
so
the only way sort of like ghost sheets, just like
if he checks
layered
for me.
over them.
So we're gonna wait.
I think there were people living there because there was like
check
cars and stuff. But I just was so curious. I was like, why are they living like in this like creepy house with all these like like it looked so much like a haunted house. You find like a ghost like walking through something, and I don't know. I was very intrigued. I was like, is this vibe like? Do they just like living in the like a spooky vibed house? So they like have it set up like that, or is this house haunted? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I bet it's haunted. Anyway, I know that story is actually not that incredible, but hopefully there's something interesting there about the Day of the Dead. I think that stuff was kind of relevant. Yeah. What other stories do I have? Because I know that was thrilling. Why didn't I?
Don't look for more stories. Look for me.
Do I have any stories from LA that I have not told?
Bro, I've called
sure
you a million times.
But
no one
sure
can look.
If any of them
Look, it's all good.
Directly coming to mind.
It
But like
says,
reflecting on the living in LA, it was like so interesting because LA is like such a driving.
Have you considered checking your phone?
City, such a driving city, and I think I have talked about it in the past.
Have you considered checking your phone?
There is some like liveliness as far as like walking goes in the city, but there are some areas of it that are very quiet, very silent, like Burbank. A lot of the times at night, which is sort of more like the northern LA, where like downtown is like a little bit more south of it. And it was so interesting. Like Burbank, it's mostly drivers, like mostly quiet houses. Probably because the celebrities stay there like 2 times a day or 2 times a year a lot of the time. And they
do not disturb on or
so they're like empty houses a lot and people drive, so you don't see people walking around. But in downtown, that gives definitely more of the city feel where people are walking and stuff like that. So that's nice. I really enjoyed downtown. And Santa Monica was cool too, and Venice Beach and all that stuff. One of my favorite parts was like the Kevin windy roads decided
to go fuck himself
in Venice, because like they basically next to the beach they have like all the way down to the boardwalk at Venice. But damn, it's just this like windy, like it looks like a road. It's like the same material, but it's like small. It's for bikes and stuff and for skateboards. So I would like skate down that. Sometimes with AirPods in, sometimes with AirPods out. So you'd get like the nice ocean breeze, or you just have like these epic songs in your head, and everybody's doing that. Everybody's just like skateboarding, biking, all that stuff. So it's just so cool. What an awesome way to feel that ocean breeze and really enjoy yourself. That was one of my favorite things to do when I'd go down there. I think it's been now 35 that was really nice. It's always about finding the right like skateboarding routes, because you don't want like too much uphill, because like then it's like tiring for the most part. But sometimes uphill is like unavoidable. So, but like a slight decline is like a perfect thing. That's like the best thing you're gonna get.
Dude, let me back in.
Let me see. If Sean's like texted me and I just didn't see it or something, because he's taking his fine time. Oh,
check your phone.
Oh, whoa.
Check your phone. You wouldn't have to make up these topics.
He texted me. Oops.
I come back. He talking about Game of Thrones.
I had Do Not Disturb on.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Oh, there you are. I had do not disturb on. I was like, what's taking Sean so long? Bruh, I just talked for like what felt like an hour. I was like,
I think you talked for 30 to 40 minutes, bro.
Wait, how long ago were you ready?
Let me check. Let me see here. Pretty much. Let's see here. I called you immediately, and that was at 11:27. So
okay,
the last 20 minutes, you were holding it down.
Are you serious? It's been 20 minutes.
That's what I was.
All right, you guys just got the. Wait, so what have you been doing? Like, have you been talking on your end?
Just literally trying to contact you in any way that I could. So I emailed you, I called you, I FaceTimed you, I went in your comment section, I made a couple comments, I sent you emojis. Then
comment section on what?
Your brother.
You went on my comments.
I meant on your live. I literally went on your live. And then went in your comment section to try and get a hold of you. Then I FaceTimed your brother and I called your brother. And your brother also is not on his phone. So I'm just like, I've literally done everything I could. The only thing I can do now is just wait until you check it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry about that. If you want, we can just jump back in. I can cut all the Kevin only podcast out, but it was like 30 minutes of me talking.
You can leave as much of it as you want. I think it's hilarious, honestly. I find it hilarious. You were holding it down.
Are you even able to listen, or are you like trying to desperately contact me as I'm talking?
No, so while you're talking, I'll occasionally jump in and be like, "Yo, answer your goddamn phone!"
Wait, wait, one second.
Yeah.
Wait, go ahead.
Why was Sean like telling me to tell you?
I hate you. Oh my God. Tell him I hate him. Tell him I hate his ass.
You. That's not very nice, Sean. Okay, what happened is this. So Sean had to take a phone call, right? And like I forgot that, like, so it was Kevin only podcast for a little while, and basically I usually put my phone on do not disturb for Starbound because I don't want to be interrupted. You know what I'm saying? So, the leaves are going outside. So fall has begun as thunder strikes. That's what I was talking about. Anyway, so I forgot that I put it on do not disturb, right? So Sean just keeps calling me over and over again. I thought though, if your phone was on do not disturb, that if you called twice, it worked.
No, it's if there's a list of people that can break through your do not disturb list. I think you're on my list.
Okay, how do I do? You tell me after the episode how to do that.
I'll tell you after the pod.
Yeah, Sean deserves to be on my do not disturb list. Anyway, so then like I was just doing like Kevin only podcast while Sean was like desperately trying to contact me like on the podcast. So then he called you and he's like, Jay, like we're like tell Kevin, but you also I guess didn't have your phone on. So sorry, the Kaufmans are just impossible to reach.
How did he find my text after you finally find my text? Like, what is that? What is that?
I think we should keep it in. I feel like that was hilarious. Like the amount that I had to like make up as I was going on the fly, it was kind of entertaining.
I was saying I was impressed.
Thank you.
I was impressed.
Do you want some time for you just to tell a few stories now that I've just been rambling for the last like 30 minutes?
I feel like I'm going to start crying or something because it's like I thought, okay, if Kevin doesn't answer me, I can go to Jay. And then somehow, only after you finally see me, Jay's like, oh yeah, why is Sean like, what's going on? You gotta understand how much time
I was like so concerned. Like I was even like scrolling down and like checking my notifications, but like for some reason I didn't see it. Like
that's why I was shocked because I know your computer and your phone is right in front of you. So I was so desperate.
No, the computer's like all the way over there, so it was just my phone. So yeah, and also like
Anyway, no, I'll hold it down. Don't worry.
If you have like the Mac with the phone, like if you put do not disturb on your phone, then it also puts it on your Mac.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like automatically.
Damn. That's crazy. Yeah, bro. It got to a point. There's some part while you're talking, I'm just like, Look, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Literally, I have done everything that I could possibly do. I emailed this man. You gotta understand. I emailed not only to one of your emails, I emailed all 3 of your emails. And I was like, if he doesn't check that, man, then we have to wait until he sees us. Like, I can't do more than I already did.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
you gotta tell a story. Now I've talked too much. You know what I'm saying? Dude,
all right, let me go back to my
Sean. I panicked. I was like, Sean's never coming back. Like, I gotta fill the void. I gotta fill the void. So,
and I respect that. I was shocked.
I gotta go to the bathroom anyway. So you go ahead. You do Sean only podcast. I'll be back indefinitely.
Okay, I was thinking, I was gonna say I was very impressed in Kevin's effort to, like, I was like, God forbid something happened to me while we're doing the podcast. Kevin will 110% hold it down no matter what. I just wish he was able to hold it down and check his phone on occasion. But that's neither here nor there. We're back. Let me continue on my Game of Thrones topic that I was on. I was talking about the last season of Game of Thrones. Yeah, so basically what had happened was that they got the right to shoot Game of Thrones on an accident, right? Because George R.R. Martin was like, yo, guess the character that is Jon Snow's mom. They guessed correctly. They got through with that. They brought the idea to HBO. HBO dropped $10.6 million on their pilot episode, and it wasn't successful. The test audiences weren't really understanding what this was and where it was going. And so they went to HBO like, hey, that first episode didn't really work out. And for some reason, HBO dropped another $10.6 million on their heads and was like, make a second episode. And if your second episode works, we'll keep it going. Second episode worked. And then they got to do season 1, which was a hit. Season 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And this is off of people. They have never worked on a television series before. They had an assistant actually who did work on 1 episode of a television series. And because they didn't know how like TV productions worked, they let him become a writer. So I think his name is something Hill, Dan Hill or something like that, Mr. Hill. He became a writer for Game of Thrones off of pure just like nobody knew really what they were doing, and nobody asked if they did know what they were doing. So anyway, seasons go by. It is some of the best television ever. And in season 8, apparently D&D was asking for crazy things. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a battle that happens at night, right? And they wanted to make sure that this is going to be like a really, really big battle. So they shot for 55 nights straight. That's what, 2 months? That's give or take 2 months, right? 55 nights straight, about maybe 11 weeks or something like that. This is the longest night shoot ever been done for TV or film. A lot of people were saying that it was such a hard, rough, because as humans, we're not really built to be up at night every night. So they were saying that everyone started looking kind of ghostly. They looked kind of like not completely well in the head. Like it was traumatic shooting Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? 55 nights straight is insane. Like imagine you wake up and it's nighttime, you work, you go to bed and it's nighttime straight for 55 days. You don't see daylight. Like it was insane. So that was crazy. The sets I think the sets for all of the different locations throughout all the seasons are crazy. But apparently the sets in season 8 were insane. Like they were building like castles and just like all this crazy design and then would destroy them. And so it got to a point where Game of Thrones was becoming super expensive and super complicated to shoot, mainly because nobody really knew what they were doing. I mean, yes, you have some great professionals, and some of these people are the best in their fields for this production. But since the top of the line, right, D&D, were completely new to the game and did not understand the logistics of shooting, they did a lot of things that overcomplicated the shoot rather than make it easier. For example, it was supposed to be wintertime in certain episodes of season 8. So they decided to actually shoot that during the winter in January. But the thing is, they have a person that's designated just for putting snow on the ground and snow on all the locations and stuff like that, because real snow complicates things. For example, when you're shooting in the wintertime, pipes freeze. So then your plumbing is going to be messed up. And that's actually what happened to them on set. They were shooting on this location during the wintertime. And because it was literally winter, like January, pipes were freezing up and people couldn't use the water. So the plumbing was messed up. Like the entire shoot was just kind of getting wrecked by the winter, when instead they could have just shot in the fall, spring, something like that. Put fake snow on the ground, fake snow on the location, and everything would have been fine. In fact, even the guy that was in charge of putting the fake snow down, he was saying, I can't put fake snow on top of real snow. We'd have to move all the actual snow out and then put the fake snow down. So I don't know why they were shooting in the winter, but that's what I'm saying. It's just complications like that were happening for Game of Thrones. So that being said, I think Game of Thrones is one of the best fantasy. It's my personal favorite fantasy story. You know, if you're gonna talk about like fantasies like Lord of the Rings, I think Harry Potter is technically a fantasy. Orcs and elves and dragons and magic. Like, this is probably my favorite version of that. I think it's so interesting. I think the world is really interesting. Game of Thrones to me is probably it's almost some of the best television ever made. Unfortunately, season 8 is rough. I'm not spoiling anything, but it is rough, man. It really, I don't know. It's rough because I feel like the seasons before that were so excellent that it leads you to believe that there's going to be like this ending that really brings like finality to everything. But season 8 just doesn't really bring the finality. A lot of the characters kind of go back on their arcs. You know, in any show, characters have a certain arc where either they have a change in their character or they stay the same, and then their characters around them change, right? But what the show was doing was kind of changing their characters and then reverting them right back to where they started. So, yeah, season 8 left a really bad taste in the mouth. I wouldn't consider it a really good season, and so it ends kind of rough. But the 7 seasons before that, I think, are some of the best television ever made. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I don't even know why I even brought up Game of Thrones. Oh, I was just talking about how it ended recently. So yeah, so I finished. It didn't end recently, but I finished Game of Thrones recently, and I was left again. I'm the type of person where when a story ends, I get this really melancholy feeling of like, well, what's next? What happens after this? You know, it can't just end. You know, seeing some of these characters walk away from the camera, it's just like, how is this? How is it over? You know, especially since Game of Thrones is such a long series. So, I don't know if any of you other people have that post TV show depression, post story depression, post narrative depression, and something like that. But I definitely had that pretty strong for a second there. But in letting Game of Thrones go, I was able to free up my time to do other things that I have to do. So it's a bittersweet type of thing. Also, it ends bad. So you just want something better for the ending. That's like, if you have a really solid ending, I feel like people won't look for more. They'll be like, I'm okay with this, right? With a show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I used to watch as a kid, it ended perfectly twice, because they're going to end it in season 5, but then for some reason they got booked for another 2 seasons, so they could end it again and even more properly, as if the first one wasn't even that proper. But it was a great ending, and then they had a second great ending. And I don't feel that need of like, oh, melancholy, depression. Like, where does it go after? I don't feel that with a show like that. Game of Thrones, I do. Just because it ends so roughly. It's really important to stick the landing. You know, in sports, in the Olympics, if someone's doing like gymnastic Olympics or something, and they're doing like a super triple somersault flip in the air, it's so fantastic. You know, the people that are scoring are going to be like, oh my God, that's so cool. But if they flop on the ground, then the score is bad. You know what I mean? You have to stick the landing. And so when talking about shows or stories or movies, it's like, it's hard to, do you appreciate it as a whole collectively, or is it really important that you stick that landing? Because Game of Thrones does not stick the landing. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, so I just roamed around aimlessly for a while because I was like, all right, I got to even this out at least a little bit. I don't know how long it was, but...
What do you mean you even this out? You should really just be sitting there and listen to me talk and not even notice you for 20 minutes, and then we would have it even out.
I was gonna say if you want. I don't know how long I roamed around for, but I was gonna say I don't think I put you on mute. So did you just like hear me go pee?
I did hear you pee. Actually, it was kind of gross. Right when I was talking about George R.R. Martin like approving the show, I was like,
yeah, I saw like because I heard you like stutter for a second and like continue onwards, and I was like, oh shit.
It was in my ear too. You understand, like the barrier. It was just right. I thought I was the bowl. You know what I mean? Just like receive. I was like, okay.
Did you also hear how loud the thunder was for a second?
Oh, I didn't actually. I didn't catch that.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. I think so though on the audio, because like while I was gone, it was crazy, like boom.
I never understood why summers in Maryland were both like summer hot and just stormy. I don't understand how it's both.
It's so wild. Yeah, it's just like humid and stormy.
Yeah, here is just like the classic summer. You know, it's hot. You have heat waves and shit, and it's hot. But over there, it's like it's hot and a storm is gonna fucking slap you in the face. It's like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, I was just wrapping up. Also, here's another fun detail about Game of Thrones I think you might find interesting. HBO didn't want it to be 8 seasons, apparently. They actually they weren't demanding, but they were pressing D&D to make it 10 seasons long.
Oh, wow. Well,
HBO was like, look, we have the money. We don't really think that you can wrap it up in one season. Because this is way back at the end of season 6, they were renegotiating with D&D was renegotiating with HBO, and HBO was like, "Yo, great show, you guys. We'll give you like another 3-4. We can go to season 14, 15 if you want." And D&D was like, "Nah, let's just do one last season, and then we'll wrap it up in this one season." And HBO was like, "Bro, that's fucking bullshit. Like, there's no way you can do that. The storylines are crazy. We'll give you to season 10." And they were like, "No, we're going to do it in season 7 and we're going to end it right here." HBO was like, "Look, what if we give you 2 seasons, so season 7 and 8, and then you can wrap it up like that?" And D&D was like, we really wanted to do like a really long season 7. So like season 7 was going to be like 11 episodes, like 12 episodes. But, instead of like doing it all in one season, let's just split up season 7. So now season 7 is 7 episodes, and then season 8 is 6 episodes. So it's practically one season. And apparently from the stories, D&D just wanted to stop making Game of Thrones so they could work on Star Wars. That did not work out for them. They got canned from Star Wars. But it kind of hurts to know that and then watch the show and be like, you should have done 10 seasons.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting too that
they
had to come up
you
with
would have stuck the landing in 10. Huh?
They had to come up kind of like Walking Dead. I didn't watch the end of Walking Dead, but like they had to just come up with an ending because like the comic book and book like didn't have an ending yet. That's true.
Like on another note, George R.R. Martin has spent last 15 years writing the next book, and allegedly is going to come out next year. I don't believe that. I don't think it's ever coming out, honestly. But yeah, so Game of Thrones isn't even done in the books. This is the only version of Game of Thrones that has an ending. It's actually ironic that in one version they can't find an ending to the series, and the other one they tried too hard to rush the ending for the show.
Yeah.
So
because sometimes like too long is also annoying.
Yeah, I hate like Walking Dead is a clear example of a show that went on for far too long, and I hate that. But here's a question. Here's a really good question. Would you prefer a show going on for too long or a show rushing its ending? Because that's what happened to Game of Thrones, where it's excellent, but the ending is so rushed that you can't really appreciate it for what it is.
That's such a difficult question to answer. It's a good question. I don't know, man. Honestly, I'd probably prefer a quick, shitty ending, because if it's just gonna be dragged out for 10 seasons, like I stopped watching The Walking Dead after like season 6 or 7 anyway. So it's not like I even found out the ending. I didn't even care to go and watch the ending. So I'd rather have just like a unsatisfying last season if the pain ends quicker. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's funny? I completely feel that, because that's what it was with Walking Dead for me, because I was too in love with the characters to part from them. So it just became this series of like toxic relationship. You hurt me. I keep dealing with the pain. And finally it ended, and it did not end in a satisfying way, but at least it ended. So mentally I can be like, I can check out. These are spinoffs. They're not the show. It's whatever. I'm done. So yeah, I feel that. It's like a release.
Yeah, and when my dad was talking about watching Game of Thrones the last season, he said like, yeah, some people aren't, happy with the decisions about what the characters do, what happens to the characters and all that stuff, but that like the production was still like incredible.
That's the thing. It's like I don't know. Hearing about the stories behind the scenes, the production was ass in terms of being a crew member or a cast member trying to deal with that. Like, again, 55 nights straight. It's crazy. So going through it apparently was hell. But when you look at it, yeah, I think there's an episode in Game of Thrones where I'm like, this is like the best battle I have ever, like the planning of it, the story, the characters, where they are. Like, production is the best ever in Game of Thrones.
It's on the list, man. I really got to watch it. This book, though, Mistborn, dude, they should make some type of series or something on it. It's so fire. Like,
someone should get the book rights. My professor was telling me that a lot of people don't realize that you can just get the book rights from the author outright, or not the book rights, the film rights to the book outright from the author, and then produce it. Like, you don't have to wait on a studio to pick up on it and yada yada yada. Like, you can get started on that. Look at D&D. These are people did not work on a project before in their lives. They went to George and said, we want to make a show. I mean, they had to do a whole guess who this character is. Mm-hmm. But once they got through that, I mean, they made the biggest show of all time. So yeah, I think one of the biggest shows of all time.
I think authors, and I know they obviously have like their editors and their companies that they publish the books through, but I think they receive, like, they really keep so many more of the rights to their stuff than you do in other industries like film and stuff like that, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing about writing. I mean, like, you really do feel like you get a personal, like a very personal story with an author, even if it's nothing to do with them, because they are coming up with all the characters and their writing is every character. So although it feels like, and you are immersed in the world, it's so wild to me that so many authors can have so many characters that feel so different, and the world feels big and cohesive when it's all in just like from one person's brain.
Yeah, I'm still trying to understand that, honestly. Game of Thrones inspired me because there's a lot of connections between Game of Thrones and the stuff I'm writing right now. and it inspired me to really kind of build out the world and its lore. And that's starting to give me ideas about different characters that I want to interact and everything like that. And my only fear is that I'm gonna make the lore and the characters so big, dispersed, and different that it won't be able to be a movie. It'll have to be a show.
That's an interesting fear. That's an interesting.
A very similar thing happened with what's that new show? The Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
So The Last of Us is about like a 15, 16 hour video game. Mm-hmm. And the writer of the video game was working with someone to kind of make it into a movie, but they decided that the story was not going to come across in a movie format. It had to be done in a TV show. So they worked out a TV show instead.
But sometimes that's fun. If it's a limited series on HBO, it's basically movie quality anyway, like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, and you might luck out. I don't know how Game of Thrones lucked out with a big. I guess it's because it worked. That's the thing. Like the mistakes that they made, they were able to get past it because the writing was inherently good. So people were able to tune in. It was the biggest show ever, and they kept getting their big budgets. But I can't imagine, like, that's not for every show that you get 10 million, and for some reason people keep watching it. That's a lot of money to put into a show per episode. So I don't know. Also, for me, I feel like my type of story is a story that has been done in TV. Like you can find a show that has done this before and maybe even better, but it has never been done before in film. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. If it has to be a TV show, I will not refrain from it. I will lean into it. But I really do want it to be a movie series, a series of films.
Fair enough. I heard rumors, though, like not that long ago, about a Percy Jackson TV show. I don't know. I haven't heard about it since, so I assume it got canned. But I thought that would be cool because they tried the movies already and it just didn't work out. So I'm like, all right, just try it in a different media form.
I don't think those are rumors. I heard that too, actually. I think Disney might have announced that they were working on it. I think just what had happened was like Avatar that's going on at Netflix right now, the new Avatar show. They just need more time with it to make sure that it was perfect or, complete. And secondly, the strikes.
Wait. Is Avatar on Netflix right now? Like the show? I thought that got canceled.
The original cartoon?
No, not the original cartoon. Like the recreate, not the movie either. Like the new, like the live.
The new show. Yeah, they're working on a new show, and
I thought that got canceled.
Last I checked, they were still working on it.
Because I know the original creators left the project. From what I heard.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
So it was like everybody was like kind of like blown because they're like, oh no, is this going to be another like movie version of Avatar?
Yeah, if the original writers back out of it, it's a red flag. It's a red flag for sure.
Yeah.
Last I checked, they were still working on it. It was just they were working on it indefinitely, which means they don't know when they're going to be done working on it. So, but maybe they have just completely canned it all together. But I wish they stuck with it. I do want to see a live action Avatar.
Yeah, no, so do I. But not at the expense of the writing being poor. Anyway, how long have we been doing this for, bro? I feel like this episode's like.
I mean, technically, we've only been going for another I thought we can fit one more topic in there. We can.
Oh, bro, we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay, no, you have been going for 2 hours.
Okay. It wasn't that long. Okay, it was probably like 30 minutes max. But I feel like it wasn't even that long. But we'll see when we time it out. Yeah,
we'll see. We can start wrapping it up a little bit. I think I went over everything that I wanted to go over today. Anyway.
That's good. I went over way too much I just randomly came up with on the spot. I was like,
I heard you start talking about water.
I was like, how does Sean do this? I was like, Sean usually gets the majority of the Sean only podcasts, I'd say. Wouldn't you agree?
I usually try to hold it down. Yeah. I put my hours in for Sean only podcasts. That's what I'm saying. I did a 45-minute episode by myself that isn't released that I was able to do. So You can do it, but it's hard.
Yeah, another
it's hard because you're not bouncing off of anybody. You know what I mean? No one's sharing their opinion.
Looking at my phone, like waiting for you to call back, but I like it was just like on do not disturb. So I just like,
and that's the funny thing, Kevin. I did call back. Isn't that so sad?
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Anyway, yeah, I feel like we've overshared everything today. You know what I mean? My week's been solid. There's some cool birthdays coming up. Rosh Hashanah's coming up. Shout out to anybody that celebrates Rosh Hashanah. I'm also shooting my movie soon.
That's very soon. Yeah.
It's next weekend. So not this weekend that we're in right now, but the next weekend will be Rosh Hashanah. There's also the weekend I'll be starting. Huh?
Oh yeah, it's the same day as the year anniversary of Starbound.
Did we shoot that on Rosh Hashanah, or did we post it on Rosh Hashanah?
I don't know. Is Rosh Hashanah like the same exact day every year, or is it one of those holidays that like switches based on like the first Saturday,
the Thursday of every week? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But we filmed it on September 16th last year.
Nice. Okay, so that'll be coming up very soon. I'm also shooting my new movie, the Break Line. I was talking to my good friend Baba, who will be acting in it, and we're gonna shoot his stuff first, and then a little bit of my stuff here, and then I'll be flying over to Maryland. We'll be doing some stuff over there, and then a whole year is gonna go by, and we're gonna shoot some more. So it's gonna be very exciting. It's gonna be a very exciting time.
It'll be fun.
I'm excited to shoot. This is a story. I haven't like shot a story in a while. Maybe a year actually.
Was the last one Who Avenged Mr. President?
I think the last one was Who Avenged Mr. President, but that was off of a script I already kind of had written sort of even years before that. Like I feel like this is actually a new, fresh story from me recently. Like this is, I don't know, this is a new wave.
It's a new era. I'm excited. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited. Yeah. There's
to lose some of this weight, bro. It's getting to me.
I got a project coming out soon. Got to keep that low key for a little bit.
Word.
Yeah, but there's a few things I'm working on. I think I mentioned this last time, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We continue being an artist, continue being a human being. You know what I mean? I know sometimes it's hard to do those things, but
yeah,
we out here.
Thank you very much for listening for all these episodes, 44 to be specific. And this is the first time
this is the 44th.
I believe this is the 44th. But we have some that we unfortunately had to can due to technical difficulties. But, so we probably recorded like 47, I guess, if you count all the discarded ones. But yeah.
Yeah, we've recorded a lot. We've had to record quite a bit of episodes. But we're here now. I'm feeling good about this one. It's going on for quite some time. Got a lot of Kevin only podcasts in there, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry that I'm gonna
have to make it for last time.
I'm gonna put you on my do not disturb pass list or whatever it's called. I don't even know how to do that, but I'll figure it out. Happens the best of it.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad that happened because it's hilarious. Like you'll see me screaming at my screen. Like, ah!
That's why I was like. Right. I was like, I don't know. It's either like has no place in the episode or it's gonna be like the best part because it's just so ridiculous. Like I'm just chatting.
We'll see what happens, yelling at the screen. We'll see what happens. We'll just try to hold it. I can't believe I texted Jay hoping he would get to you first, and somehow you still beat him.
Yeah.
What is this?
What can I say, man? It'd be like that sometimes.
It's a cruel world.
It's a cruel, cruel world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. On that note.
Oh, yeah. This is time to wrap this up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us all this time. We'll catch you on the next episode. It's been your fucking sexy ass host, as always, King Kudjo.
And Cough Drippy. As it starts raining outside, so it's dripping.
It's drip time. That's what you got to tell people. It's drip time.
How's the weather over there?
Sunny. Blue skies.
All right. Sunny and rainy, the contrast. LA, DC, look at that. Cross country.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about. That's the Starbound experience.
Coast to coast, homie. Anyway, I'm glad that you've been here enjoying this episode. I am your host, King Kaijo, and we'll catch you on the next episode. 2 Chainz.
Till next time. Peace.